So this sample I match 0.95% with the origin of modern Moroccan. So the sample TAF009 was taken from both the left and right petrous bone of the skull of a man who lived roughly 14,810 to 13,910 years ago. His remains were unearthed at Grotte des Pigeons near Taforalt in eastern Morocco. These samples are attributed to people of the Iberomaurusian culture, whose origin is debated, but who share attributes to modern Moroccan people. They may have descended either directly from the manufacturers of the preceding Middle Stone Age technologies, West African bladelet technologies, or from an exogenous population with ties to the upper Paleolithic techno-complexes of the Near East or Southern Europe. Thus, they provide a critical reference point to understand the deep genetic history of North Africa and the broader Middle East. They have a genetic affinity with early Holocene Near Easterners, best represented by Levantine Natufians, suggesting a pre-agricultural connection between Africa and the Near East. There was no evidence for gene flow from Paleolithic Europeans into late Pleistocene North Africans. The Taforalt, including TAF009 individuals, derive 1/3 of their ancestry from sub-Saharan Africans, best approximated by a mixture of genetic components preserved in present-day West and East Africans. The TAF009 man belonged to the mitochondrial haplogroup U6A6B and the Y haplogroup A1B1B1A1. This individual is associated with the prehistoric Iberomaurusian culture. Don't know who they are. Contribution to modern Moroccans. The sequencing of TAF009 by international researchers provided the oldest successfully analysed nuclear DNA from Africa. Dual ancestry core. The Taforalt individuals derived roughly 2/3 of their ancestry from early Near Eastern populations resembling Levantine Natufians, and 1/3 from an ancestral sub-Saharan African lineage. The Maghrebi component. This specific genetic blend forms the unique autochthonous component that is foundational to modern Amazigh Berber populations. Long-term continuity. Modern Moroccans and Northwest Africans still retain a significant amount of this indigenous Ibero-Maurusian heritage, roughly 30% of their core genome, which was later layered with Anatolian Neolithic farmer migrations and historic Mediterranean flows. So what was found with him, I asked? He was discovered in a highly structured, ritualistic burial alcove within the grotte. As part of the culture, his remains were accompanied by specific artifacts, physical alterations, and environmental evidence that offer a vivid look into Upper Paleolithic life. The primary items and features found alongside him and his contemporaries in the burial alcove include grave goods and ornaments, perforated shell beads sourced from nacreous marine shells. These were deliberately placed and used as personal ornaments or jewellery, signalling early symbolic and social behaviour. Animal horns and bones. The dead were frequently arranged alongside the horns of Barbary sheep and wild equids, extinct horses, hinting at ritualistic animal offerings. Advanced tool technology. Small, highly sophisticated flint and chert stone arrowheads, bladelets, and backed blades used primarily for hunting and processing animal hides. Bone tools, Polished bone implements were recovered directly from the same burial alcove, likely used for domestic tasks, clothing preparation, or ritual practices. Evocative cultural practices, ritual dental ablation. Examination of the skulls in the cemetery reveals that roughly 90% of the individuals had their healthy central upper incisors intentionally knocked out during adolescence. This was a widespread Iberomaurusian coming of age ritual. Prehistoric medicine. The site yielded evidence of early medical care, including a skull showing a successfully healed trepanation, that's an ancient brain surgery, and traces of medicinal herbs. Artemisia. Diet and environmental remains. Plant and animal processing. Deposits near the burials contained extensive remains of acorns, pine nuts, and land snails, alongside processed bones of Barbary sheep. This reveals that TAF009's community relied heavily on rich plant gathering diet alongside hunting. So now then, I've asked, does his DNA relate in any way to my mtDNA J1C3? No. So maybe this connection is on the father's side. I don't know my father's. But when we're not related in the mother line, then the other alternative is the father line. And when we gather a few of the ones that are on the father line, we can work out what father's DNA was, I'm imagining. But anyway, his direct maternal line was U6A6B. And I don't know, let's just read on. The U6A lineage is a classic indigenous North African Cro-Magnon maternal marker. It's completely separate on the human mitochondrial tree from haplogroup J. Other individuals buried alongside him in the Taforalt Cave also carried subclades of U6A. The distant connection to haplogroup J, while he himself was not J1C3, which we know, there are two distinct ways his population intersects with it. As a member of the Iberomaurusian culture, he carried roughly 63% West Eurasian ancestry that's heavily related to Epipaleolithic Levantines, Natufians, mitochondrial haplogroup J, and its downstream branch, J1C3, originally mutated and expanded outward from that exact same Near East Caucasus core zone. Later overlaps in Morocco. While the 15,000-year-old Taforalt Cave group was dominated by U6A, other sister Iberomaurusian sites in North Africa have occasionally yielded maternal haplogroup J lineages. Furthermore, J1C3 spread heavily into Morocco thousands of years later during the Neolithic agricultural expansions. So I'm wondering, is this on my dad's side?